understands it all and has so much to offer. With that, I'd like to introduce you to Mrs. Sabina Green. Sabina, would you like to start telling everybody about yourself?
Yes, I will. First of all, my name is Sabina Green. I live in Brooklyn for already almost 60 years. I'm 98 years old and I still talk in, to old and to young, and we understand each other. I have a lot of young friends. Old ones they not here, just a few left, but the young friends I'm very close with, and all my friends are listening. And I hope the one who are not my friend, after I will tell you my story, you'll become my friends too. I was born in Ulanów, southern Poland, and, and I lived there 20 years. And then after that, I left because when the war broke out in September 1st, 1939, the Germans marched in with all their power. First of all, they came at night and they burned our beautiful synagogue. And then in the daytime, they were starting to bossing around us, and this was going on for 2 years. But before that, in 1941, they came once at night and they took my brother to a working camp, my older brother Hirsch. My parents sent me where my brother was in Janów Lubelski, and I was every day going there to the camp to bring him food and fruit and bread over the barbed wires in the evening for a few weeks. And then my parents obtained papers from a landowner that they need my brother for work. And my father sent me those papers with money to bribe a Polish official who works for the Gestapo. When I came to Janów, I came on a Wednesday. In the Jewish Judenrat was only allowed once a week to go up to the Gestapo, which was on Tuesday. So I was figuring I'm not going to wait a whole week. I'll go up myself. I took another girl and left in front of the building, of the Gestapo building. And I said, if I don't come out, then you should know where I disappeared. I took the money and the papers and I just asked where his name was Ratajski. And I walked up to him and I gave him just the money and the paper. I didn't say a word, ran out like a crazy person. And this was Wednesday, and Friday they released my brother. So I went to the market, it was Friday afternoon. I figured maybe I find a peasant who will take me home. And sure enough, I found somebody. He took us home Friday. And I told him my father would pay him. And he agreed and he took us home. When we came home, everybody was so happy, especially my uncle who lives in Bulka in the outskirts of Ulanov. He was overjoyed seeing us coming home. And my parents didn't know what to do for me, that I was able to release my brother from the camp. This was a working camp, not a camp that they killed. And after this, they I, wait a second, where was I? So this was on a Wednesday. And yes, and Friday, my brother was released. And I went home with that peasant who I found on the market. And we lived still 1 year together in Ulanu, the whole family together. We were not hungry. If they would just not kill us, we would, everybody helped out the other one. It was a very close-knit Jewish family. In Ulandov was 50% Catholics and 50% Jews. Everybody knew everybody. And so we lived until 1942 when they came, this was the second day Halamoid Sukkot. Germans came in at night to Vulka, the outskirts of Ulanu, and we knew that something happened there, but we didn't know. So right away, the parents sent me over to give a look what happened. I came to Vulka, and my uncle was laying wounded in the yard, his stomach torn open, his head bleeding from one side, the other side wasn't bleeding. So I lay down on the ground next to him and I say, Uncle, a doctor will come and will help you. He said, no doctor can help me anymore, but I pray to God that you should survive. That uncle was very close to me, was the youngest brother of my mother. He was 4 years old. In the whole war later after that, I was to myself saying always, if my uncle with his last breath prayed to God that I should survive, I sure have to survive. This was the second day Halamoid Sikhs. We took the 33 bodies who they killed on wagons to the Ulanova cemetery and digged out one grave and figured after the holidays we will divide the men, women, separate kids. But it never happened because Simchas Torah, October 4th, they chased us all out. My father tried to obtain false papers for his children. For my brother and my sister, we were four children, two brothers and two sisters. It didn't come out the paper. Somehow in time it came out late and it wasn't good. And so they couldn't run away and I supposed to go, my papers were in order, and I supposed to go to Germany to work. But then my brother said a friend of mine was also false papers and he's going someplace to relatives in Poland. Why don't you go and ask him he should take you along? But I said, I'm not going to go ask him to take me along. He said, so I'll go. He went and I was pleasant surprised. His name was Bernard. And he said to me that he will take me along. We agreed we're going to meet at the River Sun, where it was a ferry because the bridge was broken, already bombarded. So we came to the ferry, and the ferryman let Bernard stay on the ferry. Me, he said, Jews are not allowed to go on the other side because him, he didn't know, but me, he know. And so I didn't go back home anymore. And you imagine in this moment, I already start thinking for myself. I went to the first Jewish house and I knew the boys there knew that ferryman. And I asked one of them he should come with me and persuade the ferryman to take me on the other side. And this what happened. He took me, I paid him handsomely for the ride. And when I came on the other side, I was seeing from far away a man is going. It was Sunday afternoon, and no people on the street. And I caught up with him, and that's how we stayed together already for the rest of the war. We came to the train. We're supposed to go on the train once in 24 hours was a train. And when I came to the train, there were hundreds of people. Everybody wants to go on the train. We didn't want to go where all the people was somebody shouldn't recognize us. So we went along this railroad station further down out, and Bernard saw a window. He broke the window, jumped out. I followed. There was a ditch with water. And Bernard tried to jump over the ditch, but he fell in. But he got out. But and I saw that, and I had two long, skinny legs, and I backed up, and I jumped over the ditch, and I didn't fall in. Then we grabbed the handles from the train, and this how we hold on to go to take us along. In the middle of the road, some people were getting off, so we were able to go inside. And there was one young man sitting, and then somebody got up, and so the other motioned I should sit down. So I sat down, and that young man accidentally fall asleep and put his shoulder on my his head on my shoulder. And I was thinking, good, let them think I go with him. And and he woke up, he apologized, and he asked me to put my head on his shoulder. And this how we came a whole night. We were riding until Stri. In the morning, we arrived in Stri, where his relatives were, Bernard's relatives were there. We went there, we stayed with them for 2 weeks, about maybe 2.5 weeks. But Bernard was he knew always what to do. Right away, he went out, he was looking for work, but the Germans gladly take you for work because they didn't pay you anything, just a piece of bread and a little jam, and that was their payment. So he found a job, and they gave him an apartment from after the Jews they took out from the ghetto. And so then we left and we went there. We lived already in that apartment. And he worked, and we had, before we left home, my father, when Jewish people have money, they kept it in dollars. So my father divided the money what he had between the children and him. He gave me $300, but I couldn't have done anything there because by polls you couldn't go and change the dollars because who has dollars? Just Jews. So he was going to the ghetto. This was still an open ghetto in street when we arrived. And he was going to the ghetto. He changed the dollars for zloty, and we had from what to live. Later on, he started to steal their things, and I used to sell it. I, who didn't know how to behave, nothing, learned. Not long ago, a woman asked me, how could a Jewish girl become a Catholic and right away know? I told her I trained on the job. And I got used to it already. But the whole time the neighbors ask me how come I don't go to church. So I figured the time come that I have to go to church. Bernard brought me over to the church outside. He went to work on a weekday, and I um, went into the church. Everything was so frightening me. My heart was pumping like I don't know. And I saw old ladies going from one holy statue to the other on their knees. So I figured if I go on my knees, I'll be less visible. So I went on my knees after from one holy to the other. My knees were killing me because I wasn't used to walk on the knees. But after a while, I could already for hours stay on the knees. And I was coming to church every day. This was my two places where I felt safe, in church and in the movie theater. When I went to the movie theater, it cost only pennies, and I stayed there for a few hours because a young woman, 1920, sits a whole day home, so I had to go out from the house. So, or I went to church. Good, I had the two choices. Or I went to the movie theater. I saw certain films hundreds of times. I knew already everything what's going to happen. And this is how I lived. And once they caught me in the street, just like everybody else, to work in the ghetto to clean up after the Jews. I was a witness of 6 Aktie. Aktie is when the Germans dropped in at night to the ghetto and grabbed as many Jews as they could of trucks, took them outside the town. The graves were ready and killed them all. So I was a witness of 6 of them. They, you could go to the ghetto. The ghetto was still open. And so Bernard was very brave. He went even to play cards in the ghetto with the Jews. And so this is how we lived there. I frightened. There wasn't a second that I wasn't frightened all these years that I was there. We were 27 people, Jewish, that we knew about each other, that of Aryan papers they were called, and only 3 survived. It wasn't the way you look, it was the way you behaved, even what you ate was important. Once a neighbor came in and she saw me drinking tea and biting a cube of sugar. And she said, Jews drink tea like this or coffee. I threw away the sugar and I never took it again. The rest of my life, I never took the sugar again. And another time I was eating sauerkraut with sprinkled with sugar also. So they remarked too, Jews do that. So, of course, I didn't do that. So I just want to point out that the looks weren't that important. Important was the behavior, what you ate, about what you talked, how your dialect was. I spoke perfect Polish because Poles came to my father for business. So my father said, we cannot talk Jewish because they shouldn't think we talked about them. So we had to talk Polish. So that's why it came in handy that I knew perfect how to talk Polish. But some other people, the slightest accent, they right away knew this was Jewish. So the work, excuse me, We were just waiting and seeing when the war will finish, but this was a long way still to go. When the English and the Russians start to bombard Stri, we went to a village with our Polish neighbors who stayed there the last 6 months of the war. But before we went, somebody killed a German in Stri, and they took out from the jail Poles, 20 Poles, because Jews were no more there. The ghetto was liquidated. And 10 they hanged, and 10 they shot. And they, for 3 days they were laying like this, and they didn't let the families to take them home for burial. That they should have a lesson. And the hanging one, okay, they were hanging. But the shot one was shot in the back of the neck with dum-dum guns, and they tear apart the head. It was awful to see. When I heard that, I said, I got to go and see it, because who knows who's going to survive, and things are going like that. So I went, it was cold, and I went out there, and I saw this that I never going to forget. Then when the Germans came in, not the Germans, the Russians were bombarding in the English in street, and we went to the village. In the village, which was Bernard later realized that we made a mistake, because here in street, only the people in the house knew us, and the whole village knew us. So we had to prove a lot. So as soon as we came, Bernard joined the partisan, and they gave him an order to bring rifles from Stri. So Bernard took me along. He said, a woman will carry a rifle, they're not going to be so suspicious where a man carries. So he walked behind me. I carried 3 rifles, which was pretty heavy, but I was a strong girl. I was 19 years old. And I carried them from one end to the other, from the town to the house where they lived before, and we left them in the cellar. And a woman supposed to come home from the village, from the hospital. So we put the rifles underneath of her, and we brought the rifles to the village. And so everybody, they couldn't even dream that we were Jewish, because a Paul would never want to do that. Never. They kill him, but he would go carry rifles through the town. But I was not afraid. And so, and he went from there to work, to Stri, and I was here in the village alone with all the women, but I tried to adjust as much as I could. One day, the lady who we lived with said to me, you are Pani and no Pani. Pani is a lady, because I knew how to work in the fields, and I dressed and talked different than they did. So once when I later joined here at the witness theater, one boy said, I like this the best, Pani Pani. And so I went with the women, I worked in the fields, dig potatoes, everything, whatever they need to take away the grain from the men who cut the grain. And I went with them 3 o'clock in the morning to the woods to pick mushrooms. And I was picked the most mushrooms. because mushrooms, when they grow today in one place, tomorrow, if you remember where the place was, they grow again. And I remember in the big woods, they say they couldn't get over that I remember where I picked yesterday the mushrooms and I picked today. And we sell them, the mushrooms, to people who then sell them later to Germans. So I try to adjust to everything. And now, of course, I'm going to church, a steady one, a steady going about a prayer book with all the hymns. Some of them I even remember today because I don't try so hard to forget as I tried that time to remember. So, and I felt very good in church, especially when I love to sing. So once you learn the words, then the singing comes very easy. So once my neighbor was standing behind me in church when we came home. She said, "Oh, Pani Zoshipani, today you sang so beautiful in church." She didn't know that I cry my heart out to my God. If he sees me here, he should protect me. But I sang so loud. Later, when I came to United States, I joined the Workman Circle Chorus, and for 7 years I was singing with them. I love to sing. Now my voice, with 98, what do you expect? And you see, I'm still talking and doing everything, whatever I can. I go for a walk. I have a stationary bike, which I go every morning for half an hour. And I crochet for all my girls. I have now friendly girls, which when I joined, I grab one in the other. Anyway, I'm still in the village. I go back better to the village. So the village women also liked me. They learned from me. They asked me questions. And I was the pani, not the pani. And, and that's how they took Bernard. The, okay, the Russians came in where we live in Ukraine. And they came in and they took the young men to the army. They took Bernard to the army, and I remained there all by myself. And not only nobody I know, no one Jew. Where will find? I, so I went to town, to street, and I looked in the streets. Maybe I'll see someplace a Jew. Sure enough, I see a man goes, he looks like a Jew. I asked him, "Are you a Jew?" He said, "Yes." And he was in a store living there. So he took me there and I said, "What should I do? Should I remain here or should I go through the Polish organization? They should take me back to Poland." But the war is still going on. It's 44. So they said, "Stay with the Polish organization and they will deliver you the Polish side." Okay. So I did like this, and we were traveling until we in cattle cars for 4 weeks, but it should last a few hours, forth and back, until we came to Sanok, a town. And there, first thing, what was I doing? Looking for a Jew. So I went in the town and looked. I found two Jewish girls. They were sisters. They survived like I. Their family was rabbis and sister-in-law and brother-in-law, everything grandfather, everything rabbis. And they said to me, if they could kill our whole family, we'll never go back to Judaism. If they did it or not, I don't know, but this is what they told me. This is how they were bitter. But I always knew that I'm Jewish and I'm going to go back, be a Jewish girl. At night, sometimes, I said a Jewish word to myself to see if I can still, if I remember to say Jewish. I did. And when I met the first Jewish boys in Orlando, I started talking Jewish. I couldn't talk. I just remember about, anyway, in a few minutes later, because Jewish you never forget. I talked Jewish and they were happy to see me that I'm the first one. Now, when the Russians came in only, I picked myself up and walked maybe 200 or 300 miles. Not, I didn't walk the whole time to my town to find out if somebody's alive for my family. But the Russians were going to the front, to the war, to Germany. So when I saw women on the truck, I asked them if they would take me a piece. They did. But if I didn't see women, I didn't ask because I was afraid for the Russians. And so that's in 2 days I came to Ulanov. And when I came to the ferryman recognized me. And I asked him, is anybody from my family in town? He said, not from your family, and not even one Jew. So in 1 second, I lost my whole family, my brothers and sisters, my uncles and aunts, and the rest of the Jews from the town, friends and relatives, in 1 second. I sat down on the bank of the river and I cried so bitterly that I thought that nobody cried like this before. And I didn't know how to cry. My grandmother died before the war. Everybody cried. The grandmother died. I couldn't cry, so I went in the kitchen and washed my face with water and left it like this. It should look like I'm crying because I didn't know how to cry. But then I learned. And, and I went to a village where I knew the peasants knew my family. And I asked if they heard anybody survived or what. No. But one rich man, a land, a peasant, but a rich one, came over and took his hand on my shoulder and said to me, go away from here. Something bad could happen to you. Because the Poles were killing the Jews when they came back to look for their family or for their belongings or whatever. So I went from there and they told me there's one family who survived in a bunker covered with dirt. And in the next town, I walked, I knew how to walk fast. I walked there. And when I came in that town, I saw the family sitting outside for summer. And they were so happy. You're the first one Jew that we see from our town. A whole night we were crying, a whole day, and another night, and then I went back to Ukraine where I was before. Then the Russians took Berna to the army. So I remained there all alone. And I tried to get over to the Polish side, which I did. And we didn't, the war was still going on, and there were uh, we needed some transportation with the people, maybe 25 people we were in the train, to take us to where the Polish side is. So there was a station of military, and we would need, they should give us some trucks and to take us over there. So one man said, only the lady with a gold tooth. I didn't even know I had a gold tooth. Can accomplish something. Nobody else will be able. So I said, okay, if somebody goes with me. So somebody went with me. I went to the soldiers and I told them we are the first. They call it repartiante from there, from the other side, and we want to go to Rzeszów and take us there. Sure enough, they did. They sent trucks and they put us on the trucks and we went to Rzeszów. Then in Rzeszów, they put us in new buildings for the time being for a day or two or three until you go to your family. But who was family? I knew already I don't have anybody. It was snow in the winter. Snow was falling and I walked, so walked. And who walks? Bernard. I was for few minutes. I walked behind him and I didn't say a word. I couldn't bring myself to speak up. Then I had eventually to stop him, and he came to Rzeszów to a lawyer something about his inheritance to straighten out, and and he told me he's in Rosvadov, gave me the address, and I gave them, and they gave me a car to go to the Rosvadov where he was. And there we stayed for another few months. And then Poland took a part of Germany, Niederschlesien. So we went there because it was empty from Germans, and the Poles took it over. So we intended to change our names to our Jewish names. Then in 1943, in a town of Kielce, at night, this was a year after the war ended, at night they came in, Poles, and 43 people killed. So after that, I said, I'm not, as long as I be in Poland, we're not going to be Jewish. We're going to be as on the false papers until we leave Poland. And Bernard worked there in a flour mill. He knew that how to do. And we lived there for 11 years. I had there two children, my son Chris and Felicia, 5 years younger. And so they were there born, of course. And there I was still going to church. This I had my inheritance after the war because I still was as a Catholic. In 1957, they started allowing to emigrate to Israel, not to America. So I was traveling a few times a week to Warsaw to see if I can obtain permission to go to Israel. Finally, I did. And then we changed the names and we went to Israel. But it wasn't such a thing like I expected. In Israel, they were not at this time respectable people who they should know how to receive people who come from the Holocaust. They were hurt, those people. So wherever Bernard went for work, when we came to Israel, they first asked him how old he was. He didn't like that at all. And I saw he's so unhappy. I figured we have to get out of here. I had two aunts in America, but they didn't want to do anything to take me over. So I tried on my own, and I succeed like everything else. And we went to Israel. This was 1957. We lived there for 3 years. He worked just at odd jobs. And after the 3 years, since he was so unhappy, I tried we should get out from there. And I succeed again. And we went to America. In 1960, we came here. We bought this house where I lived, still alone. My husband passed away 12 years ago. Now I live here alone. And like you see, with 98, I still knit every day. I love to knit for I have about, I don't know, 15, 16 year old girls. And they are like my friends. I don't have the old friends, but I have the young. They call me and they bring me presents and they adore me and I adore them. Whoever I meet, everybody likes me. I don't know. I hope after I told you my story, you who weren't my friends will be now my friends. And that's my story. If you want to ask me something, please do so.
Sabina, that was amazing. Wow. Wow. So for anyone who didn't catch on, Sabina ended up marrying Bernard, who she was hiding with during the war. So that's amazing in itself. Also, Sabina mentioned that she crochets. I just wanted to show you this scarf that she made me and the blanket, the cozy blanket that we use every night when it gets cold that she made me. It even says handmade by Sabina on it. So Sabina, that was really, really beyond amazing. Before I ask for questions, you could start typing questions in the chat and I'll be asking them. I wanted to show you a picture. This is Sabina's class before the war. She went to Beis Yaakov, and this is her class. Does everybody see? This is her class. And up here, a little faded, is Sabina.
Yes.
That's Sabina. And her sister is also in it, and her sister is right here with the glasses. So that's her sister, and that's Sabina up here. So I just thought it was interesting to show you.
And I made the blankets for every girl who is my friend. I'm afraid some more will want to be my friends.
You might have to make a lot more blankets, Sabina.
Yeah. So I'm very proud of you, and I'm thank you for wanting to hear my story. And for whenever you want to call me or come to me, you're welcome.
I'll share her number and I'll share her information. And Sabina, now we're going to take some questions.
Go ahead.
Some people want to know, when did you marry Bernard? When did you guys get married?
In 46. In 46, I married Bernard. I had nobody besides me and him that I know. So I married in 46.
And how many children did you have?
Two. Chris and Felicia.
Thank you. And Sabina, do you remember people want to know, do you remember taking this picture in Beis Yaakov?
Yes. In 1936, I was 13.
Wow. Okay. And let me just see any other questions. People want to know, where are your children now? Where do they live? Where are they?
One lives in Brooklyn and one lives in Connecticut.
Nice. Sabina, what are some words of wisdom that you want to share with the crowd? What words of wisdom? You always share with me a lesson of the day. So what do you
I,
want to share with the crowd?
yeah, I believe in exercise. Since I was young, that's why I jumped the ditch so easy when I went through when I ran away near the train, because I was athletic, always exercise, always, since I was young. And I believe in that. If you exercise every day, some sickness don't come to you. I don't get colds like other people. And I believe in that.
And what is one of your greatest memories from before the war?
From my greatest memories,
Mm-hmm.
I have to think a second. What was my, nothing was special so great. The whole life was like a one wound, which I carry with me all my life. What was my crisis?
The bicycle?
What?
The bicycle with the brother?
No, no, no. I cannot pinpoint. I love to travel. I traveled
Mm-hmm.
all over the world. I said, no riches, no money, no nothing, just travel. So I was all over the world, in Australia, in Alaska, in all over, in Europe, in every country.
Amazing. And what's your favorite thing to do? What's your favorite thing to do?
Well,
What's your favorite activity to do?
now crocheting, because I can sit, I cannot walk so much. So, so this I love to do. That's why I do it for everybody. For
Amazing.
everybody, all my sweet girls. And I
Sabina,
love them
now
all.
we have a we have a special guest that wants to say hi.
Okay.
Hi, Sabina. It's Sally. Hi.
Sally. Hi, Sally.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm so honored to be here, and I'm so happy that everybody is hearing your story. And I have to tell you all that Sabina called me a few weeks ago. She said she had seen the documentary that was made about the Witness Theater program, but it was made about a different year when she wasn't in it. And she said, Sally, you picked the wrong year. Now you have to make me famous too. So quickly I called Sarah and I said, Sarah, we got to make Sabina famous. And she said, I'm going to get Sabina on the
Thank
Zoom.
you.
And she
And
did.
the Witness Theater for me was a special thing. When it finished, I was so sorry. For a whole semester, we were meeting every Wednesday, and this was the best time. Oh, this I should have told them when they asked me what was the nicest time. The Witness Theater, because I got their friends too, and until today they come to me, and you are so amazing. You're a special person, just like I am. Don't tell anybody.
Thank you, Sabina. I love you. I'm so happy that you got to present tonight. Okay, I'm gonna quiet myself. Otherwise, I'm gonna go on and on about you.
And I'm happy that you are here.
So for all who didn't know, I actually met Sabina in 2013 in my Witness Theater in the Yeshiva of Flatbush. And it's a production where students and Holocaust survivors, a group of 8 to 10 Holocaust survivors, meet once a week and build bonds, and the survivors share their stories. And at the end of the year, we put on a production where we acted and the survivors narrated. So if any one of you want to check it out, you could just click on YouTube and type in Yeshiva of Flatbush Witness Theater 2014 if you wanted to see Sabina. So I just wanted to share that with you today. So Sabina, any other inspiring words that we could leave the crowd with?
Inspiring words.
Inspiring words.
Yes.
Just try to be giving. I find a lot of happiness in giving, in doing for people things. And this makes me feel good. I feel good, and look, and the other people feel good too. And I thank you all for wanting to listen to me and for hearing. Maybe they learned something. If you remember one sentence, what I said, you remember a lot.
So Sabina, I want to let you know that everyone here tonight, and it was over 100 people, we are all going to take it upon ourselves, if I may speak for everybody, to hear your story, be a witness of your story, and share it with as many people as we can.
So I did.
Yes. So thank you for sharing it.
You're welcome, and thank you for listening to that old lady. But you don't say that I'm old.
You're not old, Sabina. Me and Sabina forget that we're not the same age sometimes. Right, Sabina?
What? I didn't understand.
I said we forget we're not the same age.
Oh, I don't remember. I remember I'm your age.
Exactly. And also another activity that I would want to point out before we end, Sabina also not only crochets and walks and goes on a bike every day, stationary bicycle, she also likes to swim. She loves swimming and is very, very active. So that just gives a whole well-rounded view of the amazing person that she is. And I want to thank everybody for coming, and thank you, Sabina, for sharing your story and for sharing your wisdom.
And I thank you for being my friend.
That's easy. Thank you for being my friend. Thank you, everybody. Have a good night.
Thank you. Good night.
That was beautiful.
So how was it?
That was great.
Sabina, you were amazing.
Hello.
Hi.
Now we can say hello.
Exactly.
Okay, and Felicia's
That was beyond amazing. Thank you so
Hey.
much for setting it up, Sarah.
Oh yeah, and Mario. Mario's the real hero over here.
Yes, round of applause for everybody who set it up. Thank you
Hi
so
guys.
much, guys.
Sarah, it was
Thank you.
beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So beautiful.
Thank you
And
so
Sabina,
much.
you're so special. Such a
Thank you
special
for
woman.
watching. This
Mwah.
Felicia.
Right here.
Oh, she doesn't talk.
Hi,
Yes, Sabina, that
And Felicia, where is she? Oh, here she is. We didn't mute it.
Sabina, you're getting calls already.
That's Elliot.
I'm not answering phones now. I'm talking to you. Mario.
Amazing. So everyone could unmute themselves if they want to tell Sabina something or ask her something.
Sabina, it's
Yes.
Devorah.
Aww.
Oh, Devorah, where were you sleeping?
I was here the whole time. I wanted to say hi.
Look,
I was listening. Now I get to talk. I wanted to listen while you were talking.
look at this beautiful face.
And I
Devorah.
wanted to show off. I wanted to show off to everyone the scarf that you crocheted for me.
Aww.
Yes,
And look, and my
we want to show
blanket.
off too.
And my blanket, I keep it on my couch. I use this to curl up. It's so
Yeah.
cozy.
So now they see I'm telling the truth that I made for everybody.
And I want everyone to know how privileged I feel to be your friend. How happy I am to have met you and how much joy and wisdom you brought to my life and so much love.
Thank you. I'm very happy I could do that every day.
And I want you to know that I love you and that I'm thinking of you always.
Yes, and I love you, you beautiful face.
And that was a beautiful speech. Very,
Well,
very.
I was afraid a little bit because I didn't talk for a long time about my survival. But I figured I take it, give it a shot.
What you were able to give over was great. That was really, really special to hear
Thank
your
you.
story.
Thank you, Deborah. And be well, and I love you.
I love you too.
If anyone else wants to say hello, you could unmute. Feel free.
It's my Sarah.
Sabina.
Sarah. It's my
Love
Sarah.
you, Sabina.
And I met your parents today.
I know, they're all listening. All my family was listening.
Yeah.
And Isaac's family was listening. Isaac was listening.
Okay, Isaac better listen,
Of course.
because if not,
Isaac.
there's no Isaac. We wipe him out.
Yeah. Hi.
And so I'm so happy that Sarah, you could arrange this. And you see how Sally talked?
Yes,
Sally
she
was
came on as a surprise.
She came through. Very good.
Sabina, can you give us a bracha?
Yes.
Sabina, they want a beracha. Could you give them a beracha, blessing?
Who should
Everybody, we
Yeah, me
all
too.
want blessings. Can we all get blessings?
They want a blessing?
Yeah, could you bless us?
Okay, a bracha in honor of my survival. And I wish you should always, whatever you start in life, it should come true. And you should always be happy and pray and thank God for every minute. That's what I do.
Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
So special.
And bless Mario.
Bless her.
Hi, Sabina.
Hi. Oh, it's
Hi, Michelle.
been a long time.
Yes, since before Corona, I haven't seen you.
Yeah. Thank you for coming to listen to me.
I'm happy to listen to you.
You did? That's good. Michelle, yeah. She wears glasses. I didn't know she wears glasses.
What a special lady.
But
Marilyn, say hi, Marilyn. Unmute.
Sabina. Hi, Sabina.
oh, hello.
Hi.
Who is
That's my niece, Marilyn, Sabina.
Hi, Sabina. And me.
Who is that? Who is it, pretty girl?
Sabina, remember I said Sarah's niece, Marilyn.
Hello.
They can't hear you so well, but it's my niece, Marilyn, Sabina.
This is your niece?
Yeah, she was so excited for tonight. She stayed up late to listen to you.
What's she called?
Thank you, Sabina.
Oh, how nice. How nice.
Hashem should bless you to be till 120 and always healthy and happy.
Amen, amen.
I really thank you for listening.
They have it on the phone, yeah.
Thank you for
Sarah.
sharing, Sabina. Thank you for sharing.
Your internet connection is unstable.
Sabina, Isaac wants to say hi.
Hi.
So-
Hi, Sarah.
Well,
Oh, Isaac.
how-
Isaac.
it's good to see you.
Show you
I wish I could hug you. I miss you.
listening to me too.
When can I come over?
Nobody can hug me. Now with the virus, everybody's afraid to hug.
I'm
But
not afraid.
I take a rain check.
I love you, Sabina. Thank you for
When
sharing.
the virus will be over, you owe me a hug.
You owe her a hug, guys.
You
Sabina,
will owe me
so
a
much.
hug. I love you too.
Love you, Sabina. Have a great night. No one wants to leave the Zoom because everyone just wants to keep hearing you.
Everything because of you.
No, it's all you. Thanks to you.
Sarah. Sarah, when are you going to make the recording available? I think a lot of people are going to want to hear this.
Yes, we're gonna make the recording of
Don't make anything, whatever Sarah makes, this is done.
Thank you. And thank you, Mario
Thank
and
you.
Sarah again.
Bye, thank you.
Thank you, Sarah.
Sabina,
Thank you.
so much. That
Thank
was
you,
beautiful.
thank you to the
Sarah's
well.
parents.
Thank you to the well who hosted this.
Yes.
I
Thank you,
thank
Gail
you, Sarah's
Sassoon.
parents.
Thank
They're
you.
so sweet, Sarah's parents. You are Sarah's father, right?
Yeah.
Yes, we're looking forward to it. When all this is over, we'll have the
Me
big.
too. Sure,
We have
why
to have-
not?
We got to have
I
that.
don't blame you.
Yeah,
I'm a nice young lady.
we have to have.
You blame me that you want to meet me?
We have to do a dinner.
Okay.
so.
All right. Thanks again. I'm going to end the meeting.
Bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
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 Good night. Thank you.
Bye.
You did great.
Fabulous, really fabulous.
So,
Where's this go? Here?